A year ago, a little over a year ago, Joy Taylor jumped on she jumped on the season 4, episode 7, I Am Athlete podcast. And she was talking about her hard journey, how tough it is for women to break through the barriers and work harder than some of her counterparts and the men to get where she is today. Yeah, I went and found it. I did. I went and found it. I thought it would be entertaining to go over. So before we get to Skip, let's deep dive a little bit, right? Let's fast forward it.
Welcome to the show, Joy Taylor. And why you didn't say my teammate? Oh, and also
Hold on. People the Shady. How is Shady?
I don't know. I don't really have a problem with working with people. I just try to meet people where they are. And when you're dealing with big personalities, Skip, Shannon, Colin, and I've worked with lots of other big personalities as well, I don't want to go to work frustrated or annoyed with the people that I'm around. So I just meet people where they are. This is who you are, cool. I'm gonna be how I am. As long as we're professional, what's the problem?
Professional, huh? We'll get there.
Doing a daily show is a lot. So it's a lot. It is. So I can't imagine coming in irritated to be around someone. It's like coming home and being mad. Like I'm good. So meeting people where they are and presenting as yourself every day and just treating people with respect, respecting what they do, makes it much easier to me, especially dealing with big personalities. Second part, Shady.
My baby.
be honest too. You listen. Be honest. This is what we do in this podcast. We keep it honest.
Let me move forward a little bit. I want to move forward a little bit on another question. Give me a second.
Hosted with Colin, but
She's
Where
talking
you
about her
started,
journey, y'all.
Where you're at today, how you got there. Did you have to fight to get to this position? You feel good about where you at? Is there more meat on the bone?
well, that was my seat for a long time. I was a host, a moderator, hosted with Colin, but obviously it was Colin's show. And now my seat is the same as everyone else on the shows.
Yep.
And that was always my goal, to get to a point where I wasn't teeing up other people for their opinion, which is a great role to do and a powerful role to be in and an important role, but that's not what I wanted to do. So when I got in the business 15 years ago, a long time ago, this wasn't a thing. It wasn't it was YouTube, but it wasn't what it is now. Twitter wasn't what it is now. You didn't have Instagram lives. You didn't have all these platforms.
It's different, don't it?
And ways to really express yourself and be a personality and give your opinion. It was really just the opinion shows on the biggest networks and radio. And I always loved radio because it was the original format to talk, which I wanted to do. I really never wanted to be a reporter. I never wanted to be a hardcore journalist because I hold them in a special place. Like, I think if you're a journalist, you have a really specific role in society, even as a sports journalist, because you're supposed to be unbiased. Like, you're just supposed to give us the information, tell us the news. You're not putting your spin on it. Now that's changed a lot, but there are still some of them out there, and I have a lot of respect for that position in our space. So I never really wanted to be that. I'm spoiled. I like sitting in the studio. I'm not into all this weather stuff, so like the sidelines. It's exciting, and you're a part of history, but that's never what I wanted to do. So for me, I knew that the way to get into that side of the business at that time was to do radio, because that was the long format platform, and that's how I started. So I started interning in radio. I was a part-time producer in radio, and then moved up as an executive producer, and then eventually got an opportunity to host a radio show in Miami. So that was how I started in the business, and that's why I got in on that side.
Hit a little different, don't it? It hit a little different, don't it? When she's now telling her journey, now that we're hearing this alleged lawsuit, which we don't know whether it's 100% accurate or not, we don't know if it's true or not, but now it's like, wait a minute, you should have just said, and I was messing with this guy and I was married and his name was Charlie Dixon, and somehow I just ended up over in Los Angeles from Miami, and then Skip didn't want me on the show, but Charlie, because I was busting it down for a real one, insisted now I had an opportunity to just so happen to get on the biggest sports show of all time. Ain't that crazy? Somehow, some way, Joy Taylor ended up on one of the biggest, most historical sports shows of all time with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on Fox One Undisputed, two titans and heavyweights, and she just so happened to work her way up. You know, I started off on radio. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut that nonsense up. Let's move forward a little bit, y'all. I want to go over to this 12 o'clock, this 12 point mark.
I think visibility is one thing. You know, you have to see things to believe they're possible. So we know representation.
Oh, don't worry about it. Listen, she's going with the I am women, I am black woman trope now. They're asking her about breaking barriers. Okay. Let me rewind it a little bit. They're asking her about breaking barriers and being one of the women that is at the forefront of the movement to transition and break into the men's spaces and be able to give your opinion. How did you do it? Where did your inspiration come from? How did you find yourself in a space where men traditionally dominated and ratings wise, we dominated too, but you now have broken barriers. Who was your inspiration and how did you do it? And how did you leapfrog off of them to then open up the doors for the future women that came after you?
I mean, I think visibility is one thing. You know, you have to see things to believe they're possible.
See, it's possible. Yeah.
So we know representation and how important that is for everyone. For me, Jamel was the first one.
Jamel Hill.
The first
that's right.
woman
Yeah.
at all
Got it.
to really be there giving an opinion, having a show, and the first black woman. She really made me believe it was
Hill, right?
possible. Jamel Hill, yes.
yeah.
She made me believe it was possible because everyone else on television that was just talking about sports, giving their opinion, was a man. And so for her to have that space and have her show and it be as big as it was really important for me. And then there was just a gap for a long time. And it's not just for women wanting to get into that space and be in that space, because there's plenty of women who want to give their opinion about sports. And I keep saying opinion because it's different. It's a different job.
It is.
It's a different job than doing play-by-play. It's different than doing sidelines. It's different than being a moderator. You get asked a question, you answer the question just the same as everybody else at the table. It's a different job. I think it's hard for executives to see women in that space.
Hard for executives to see women in that space. Give me a second. Let me remind y'all. In the lawsuit, okay? In the lawsuit, she says for executive vice president Charlie Dixon, she explained Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that has become angry. That's what her friend told her. She is also now powerful, and once Mr. Dixon no longer became useful to her, she would follow through on her plan and tell the company that he forced himself on her. Oh, Charlie boy right here. Yeah. Side eye. One eye bigger than the other one. No bottom teeth, it looked like. Charlie boy right here. Hold on. Listen, let me play it again for y'all because I want y'all to understand. Context matters. Everything hit different once you have additional context. Okay? Listen to what she's saying.
All different. You get asked different than doing sidelines. It's different than being a moderator. You get asked a question, you answer the question just the same as everybody else at the table. It's a different job. I think it's hard for executives to see women in that space also.
How did you help him see it? How did he envision? Because we look at these executives and say, "Oh man, that was a genius move." Putting Joy Taylor in between Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Who'd have thunk it? Who envisioned this? How did he see this coming? What made him pick her? Well, according to the lawsuit, okay, Charlie didn't have to do much searching at all. Charlie boy didn't have to do much searching at all. Miss F did not know who to turn to, but as she knew Miss Taylor was sleeping with Mr. Dixon, she turned to her. Miss Taylor responded, because this is now, right, Mr. Dixon groping Miss F and putting her on Undisputed. Miss Taylor had a birthday party at Pearl's rooftop in West Hollywood. Miss F and other Fox employees who were invited intended as it was part of their job duties to appease talent. And a birthday party is an important event. As usual, Mr. Dixon was heavily drinking, buying drinks for everyone on a Fox credit card and blustering that everything was purchased on Fox's dime. As Miss F was standing near the bar facing the crowd, Mr. Dixon approached her. He asked the bartender for a drink and then placed his arm on Miss F lower back. He asked, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" If she was having fun, if she wanted a tequila shot. Miss F felt very uncomfortable, according to the lawsuit, by his unsolicited touching and responded, "No, thank you." Miss Dixon then moved his lower hand and started rubbing her body and grabbing her butt. Miss F was mortified, but quickly thought to fake an incoming phone call to escape from the situation. She then turned to Miss Taylor because she knew Miss Taylor was sleeping with Mr. Dixon, and she turned to her. Surprisingly, Miss Taylor responded, "Girl, get over it," and explained that she herself only had her job because Mr. Dixon, and that Miss F only had her job because Miss Taylor requested her. She warned that Mr. Dixon could take both of it away. Mmm. Mmm. Busting it down for a real one, huh? And you tried to coerce, according to your coworker's lawsuit, tried to coerce her into busting it down for. Girl, get over it. He can have both of us if he wanted it. Girl, get over it. He can have both of us if he wanted it. I hear you, Joy. I hear you, Joy. Every woman's worst nightmare. And this is what she was saying about
I
executives.
think it's hard for executives to see women in that space also. So that's why I feel a lot of responsibility, honestly, to not f it up, because there's just not a lot of opportunities in that space.
Well, let me ask you this, because I had an opportunity also
Ain't
to
it crazy?
be on FS1 and sit with you at times for.
Ain't it crazy? Ain't it a blessing? Ain't it a blessing? We made it out after all that. Joy Road, but the money longer 6 Mile. Ain't it a blessing? Listen, must be nice. Must be nice for an executive to just be able to visualize you in a space and see it through. Wow. It's crazy. Crazy. And you breaking barriers. And apparently some of your barriers is getting broken too.